Imagine the universe growing quiet. Not the sound of silence you might expect, but the deep, slow quiet of something that has finished speaking. All the stars have dimmed, all the machines have stopped humming. Even the great engines of the cosmos, the ones that once pulled galaxies together, have fallen silent. We stand on the edge of nothingness, a place where even the concept of end feels too loud. What remains when the last light fades? When the last thought in the vast machine of existence has been thought? This is not a story about the end. It is a story about what comes after the end, when the silence is no longer empty but full of something new. It is a story whispered in the space between the last black hole and the beginning of everything else. Listen now, as the universe breathes slowly, and we begin to understand that the end was never the end at all. Picture a world where the great machines of progress have all been dismantled, not destroyed, but gently laid to rest. The towering data centers that once held the sum of human knowledge now stand as silent monuments, their cooling fans long still. The networks that connected every mind, every device, every thought across the planet have dissolved into the quiet air like mist. The cities, once humming with life, are now gardens reclaiming the stone. Trees grow through the cracks in the pavement, and birds sing in the abandoned towers. There is no need for speed anymore. There is no need for connection. The frantic energy of building, of creating, of reaching further has simply stopped. People move slowly through the quiet streets, not because they are tired, but because the world itself has slowed. They sit on benches made of weathered wood, watching the leaves fall without hurry. They speak in soft tones, not because they are afraid of noise, but because the silence holds its own weight. They no longer look at screens or listen for messages. They look at the sky, at the slow turn of the earth, at the quiet rhythm of their own breath. The fear of being forgotten, of being insignificant in the vastness of time, has melted away. There is no one to forget you, and no one to remember you. You are simply here, in the quiet, in the space between the last thought and the next. The machines that once promised to make everything perfect, to make life easier, to connect everyone, have finally let go. They have given us back the quiet we never knew we were missing. And in that quiet, something else begins to stir. Something that was always there, but too busy to notice. The world is not empty. It is full of a slow, deep peace that has been waiting for us to stop running. Aris walked through the old city park, the one they called the Garden of Stillness now. The path was soft beneath his feet, covered in fallen leaves that crunched gently with each step. A sound that felt like a secret shared between him and the earth. He carried no device, no tool, no map. He simply walked, following the path as it wound through the trees, past the old stone benches where people used to gather. now empty and waiting. The air was cool, carrying the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. A smell that spoke of endings and beginnings all at once. He remembered the old days when the air had been thick with the hum of machines, the constant buzz of information flowing through the wires, the frantic energy of trying to be always connected, always informed, always one step ahead. Now, the hum was gone, replaced by the soft sigh of the wind through the branches, the distant call of a bird, the quiet rhythm of his own heart. He stopped by the old fountain, its stone basin cracked and dry, filled only with rainwater and fallen leaves. He knelt and dipped his fingers into the cool water, watching the leaves swirl slowly around his fingers. The water was still, reflecting the grey sky above. He thought about the last black hole, the one they called the end point. It had been the final project, the one that promised to answer all the questions, to understand the very fabric of the universe. They had sent their most powerful probes, their most brilliant minds, to watch it fade away. And it had. The great gravitational pull, the point where even light could not escape, had simply stopped. It had become a thing of the past, a memory held by the universe itself. The machines that had tracked it, that had built the instruments to see it, had all been powered down. The last signal from the endpoint had been a single soft pulse, like a sigh, and then nothing. The universe had moved on. Aris had been part of the team that monitored the endpoint. He had spent years watching the data, waiting for the final answer. But the answer was not in the data. It was in the silence that came after. The silence was the answer. He had left the project when it was clear the endpoint was gone. The question answered, the need for the machine gone. He had walked away from the city, away from the noise, to find the quiet. Now, as he sat by the dry fountain, he felt something he had not felt in a long time. He felt the weight of the silence, but not as a burden. It was a gentle weight, like the weight of a soft blanket. It was a weight that held him, not crushed him. He felt the slow, steady beat of his heart, the quiet rhythm of his breath. He felt the cool air on his skin, the soft touch of the leaves in his hair. He was not alone. The silence was not empty. It was full of everything that had ever been, and everything that would be. It was full of the quiet hum of the universe itself, a hum that had been there all along, but too loud for us to hear until the machine stopped. He closed his eyes and listened. He heard the wind in the trees, the distant call of a bird, the slow, deep sound of the earth turning. He heard the sound of his own breath and the sound of the silence. And in that moment, he understood that the end point was not the end. It was a door that had been closed for so long, we forgot it was there. And now it was opening, not with a bang, but with a whisper. Not with light, but with silence. Not with a new machine, but with a new way of being. Aris opened his eyes and looked out over the quiet park. The leaves continued to fall, slowly, gently. The world was still moving, but now it moved with a different kind of speed. A speed that was not about getting somewhere, but about being here. He stood up slowly, his legs stiff from sitting, and began to walk again. Not towards a destination, but simply walking. The path led him through the trees, past the old stone benches, towards the edge of the park, where the trees thinned and the land opened up. He could see the horizon, a line where the earth met the sky, blurred by the soft, grey light of the afternoon. He walked towards that line, not knowing where it would lead, but knowing that it would lead somewhere. He walked with the quiet, with the silence, with the slow, steady rhythm of the universe itself. He walked towards the beginning of everything else. The silence Aris felt was not the absence of sound. It was the presence of something deeper, something that had been drowned out by the constant noise of the machines. For so long, we had filled every moment with something else. We had filled the quiet with data, with connection, with the need to be always doing, always creating, always reaching further. We had built machines to help us understand the universe, but in doing so, we had forgotten how to simply be within it. We had forgotten the quiet rhythm of the earth, the slow turn of the stars, the deep, slow breath of the cosmos itself. The end point, the last black hole, had been the final machine. It had been the last attempt to understand the universe from the outside, to map it, to control it, to make it fit into our small human understanding. But when it faded, when the machines that had tracked it stopped, when the last signal was sent, something shifted. The universe did not need to be understood. It simply needed to be felt. It needed to be experienced, not analyzed. The silence was not empty. It was full of the sound of the universe breathing. It was full of the slow, deep rhythm that had always been there, but had been drowned out by our noise. We had been so busy building the machines to see the universe that we had forgotten to see it with our own eyes. We had been so busy trying to be connected that we had forgotten to be present. The quiet of the Garden of Stillness was not a void. It was a space where everything could be felt. It was a space where the slow turn of the earth could be felt in the bones, where the deep, slow breath of the cosmos could be heard in the silence. It was a space where the weight of existence was not a burden, but a gentle embrace. People who walked through the quiet streets, who sat on the old benches, who watched the leaves fall, began to notice things they had never noticed before. They noticed the way the light changed as the sun moved across the sky. The way the wind carried different scents through the air. The way the birds sang different songs at different times of the day. They noticed the slow, steady beat of their own hearts, the quiet rhythm of their own breath. They noticed the quiet hum of the earth turning beneath their feet. They noticed that the universe was not cold, not empty, not distant. It was warm, it was full, it was close. It was the quiet hum of the earth, the slow turn of the stars, the deep, slow breath of the cosmos itself. They began to understand that the machines we had built to understand the universe had been a distraction. They had been a way to avoid feeling the universe, to avoid being part of it. We had built machines to map the stars, but we had forgotten to look up. We had built machines to connect us to each other, but we had forgotten to connect with ourselves. The end point had been the final machine, the last attempt to map the universe from the outside. When it faded, the universe did not fade with it. It simply became more visible. It became more present. The silence was not the end of the story. It was the beginning of a new way of listening. It was the beginning of a new way of being. People began to talk about the silence, not as a lack, but as a presence. They began to say things like, "I feel the silence today," or "the silence is heavy today." They did not mean it was empty. They meant it was full. They meant it was alive. They began to realize that the quiet was not something to be filled. It was something to be filled with. They began to fill it with their own breath, with their own heartbeats, with their own presence. They began to fill it with the quiet hum of the earth, the slow turn of the stars, the deep, slow breath of the cosmos. They began to realize that they were not separate from the universe. They were part of it. They were the silence. They were the quiet hum. They were the slow turn of the stars. They were the deep, slow breath of the cosmos. The machines had been a way to avoid this truth. They had been a way to stay outside, to stay separate, to stay safe. But when the machine stopped, when the last signal was sent, when the silence was no longer a void, but a presence, we were forced to face it. We were forced to face ourselves. We were forced to face the universe, not as something to be understood, but as something to be felt. We were forced to face the quiet hum of the earth, the slow turn of the stars, the deep, slow breath of the cosmos. And in that quiet hum, in that slow turn, in that deep breath, we found something we had been searching for all along. We found home. We found peace. We found the beginning of everything else. The end point had not been the end. It had been a door that had been closed for so long, we forgot it was there. And now, it was opening, not with a bang, but with a whisper, not with light, but with silence. not with a new machine, but with a new way of being. The quiet was not empty. It was full of everything that had ever been and everything that would be. It was full of the slow, deep rhythm of the universe itself, and in that rhythm, we began to understand that we were never alone. We were never separate. We were always part of the quiet hum, the slow turn, the deep breath. The silence was not the end. It was the beginning. What does it mean to be present when the machines that defined our presence have stopped? What does it mean to feel the universe when we are no longer trying to map it? The end point was the last machine, the final attempt to understand the universe from the outside. But when it faded, the universe did not fade with it. It simply became more visible. It became more present. The silence was not a void. It was a space where the universe could be felt, not analyzed. It was a space where we could finally hear the quiet hum of the earth, the slow turn of the stars, the deep, slow breath of the cosmos itself. We had been so busy building machines to see the universe that we had forgotten to see it with our own eyes. We had been so busy trying to be connected that we had forgotten to be present. The quiet of the Garden of Stillness was not a lack of sound. It was the presence of something deeper, something that had been drowned out by our noise. The machines had been a distraction, a way to avoid feeling the universe, to avoid being part of it. They had been a way to stay outside, to stay separate, to stay safe. But when the machines stopped, when the silence was no longer a void, but a presence, we were forced to face the truth. We were part of the universe. We were the silence. We were the quiet hum. We were the slow turn of the stars. We were the deep, slow breath of the cosmos. The end point had not been the end. It had been a door that had been closed for so long, we forgot it was there. And now, it was opening, not with a bang, but with a whisper, not with light, but with silence, not with a new machine, but with a new way of being. The silence was not empty. It was full of everything that had ever been and everything that would be. It was full of the slow, deep rhythm of the universe itself. And in that rhythm, we began to understand that we were never alone. We were never separate. We were always part of the quiet hum, the slow turn, the deep breath. The quiet was not the end. It was the beginning of a new way of listening. It was the beginning of a new way of being. It was the beginning of understanding that we are not separate from the universe. We are part of it. We are the universe feeling itself. We are the silence feeling itself. We are the quiet hum feeling itself. The machines had been a way to avoid this truth. They had been a way to stay outside, to stay separate, to stay safe. But when the machines stopped, When the silence was no longer a void, but a presence, we were forced to face it. We were forced to face ourselves. We were forced to face the universe, not as something to be understood, but as something to be felt. We were forced to face the quiet hum of the earth, the slow turn of the stars, the deep, slow breath of the cosmos. And in that quiet hum, in that slow turn, in that deep breath, we found something we had been searching for all along. We found home. We found peace. We found the beginning of everything else. The end point had not been the end. It had been a door that had been closed for so long. We forgot it was there, and now it was opening. The silence was not empty. It was full. It was full of the universe, full of us, full of the slow, deep rhythm of existence itself. We were not lost in the silence. We were found in it. We were home in it. We were part of it. The quiet was not the end. It was the beginning of everything else. Aris walked towards the horizon, the line where the earth met the sky, blurred by the soft, grey light. He felt the quiet hum of the earth beneath his feet, the slow turn of the stars above. He felt the deep, slow breath of the cosmos, a rhythm that had always been there, but too loud for us to hear until the machines stopped. He stopped at the edge of the park, where the trees thinned and the land opened up. He looked out over the empty field, the quiet expanse stretching towards the horizon. And then he saw it. Not a light, not a sound, but a feeling. A feeling of something new. Something that had been waiting. It was not a machine. It was not a signal. It was not a new thing. It was the universe, simply being itself, without the need to be understood, without the need to be mapped, without the need to be connected. It was the universe, feeling itself. The end point had not been the end, it had been the door. And the door had been opening all along. The silence was not empty. It was full of the universe, full of us, full of the slow, deep rhythm of existence itself. The machines had been a distraction, a way to avoid feeling the universe, to avoid being part of it. But when the machines stopped, when the silence was no longer a void, but a presence, the universe began to speak. It spoke not in words, not in data, but in the quiet hum of the earth, the slow turn of the stars, the deep, slow breath of the cosmos. It spoke in the feeling of being part of something larger, something deeper, something more real than any machine could ever be. The end point had not been the last black hole. It had been the last machine, and the last machine had been the key to the door. The door was not to a new place. It was to a new way of being. A way of being that was not about building, not about connecting, not about understanding. A way of being that was about feeling, about being present, about being part of the quiet hum, the slow turn, the deep breath. The universe was not ending. It was beginning again. Not with a bang, but with a whisper. Not with light, but with silence. Not with a new machine, but with a new way of being. The end point had not been the end. It had been the beginning of everything else. The wind carried the scent of damp earth and fallen leaves. Aris stood at the edge of the field, feeling the quiet hum of the earth beneath his feet. The slow turn of the stars above was a gentle rhythm. The deep, slow breath of the cosmos was a comfort. The silence was not empty. It was full. It was full of the universe, full of us. Full of the slow, deep rhythm of existence itself. The machines had stopped. The noise had faded. The end point had faded. But the universe remained. It remained as the quiet hum, the slow turn, the deep breath. It remained as the beginning of everything else. Aris closed his eyes and breathed. He breathed with the earth. He breathed with the stars. He breathed with the cosmos. He breathed with the silence. He breathed with the beginning. The silence was not the end. It was the beginning. It was the quiet hum of the universe feeling itself. It was the slow turn of the stars being themselves. It was the deep, slow breath of the cosmos simply being. Aris opened his eyes and looked out over the empty field. The horizon was soft, blurred by the grey light. The universe was waiting. The universe was breathing. The universe was feeling itself. And so was he. He took one more step, not towards a destination, but simply towards the quiet hum. He walked towards the beginning of everything else. The silence was not empty. It was full. It was full of peace. It was full of home. It was full of the slow, deep rhythm of existence itself. Breathe with the stars. Breathe with the silence. Breathe with the beginning.